Hello everyone and welcome to What's the Quack. I'm your host Ducky and I hope we're all doing well out there. I hope we're all enjoying this summer that's just rolling in. I hope we're all out getting plenty of drying done on the line, soaking up as much sun as you can, because it's rare in this country. It's rare in Ireland, you know. It's getting more and more common as time goes on, you know, with the old global warming. Like the rest of the world is getting absolutely shagged. But like for the kind of mid-northern hemisphere that we're sitting in here now, it actually means we're getting a few days and summers, which I'm delighted to. Like I was out sitting in it the other day. The missus was actually putting the clothes out in the line. Don't know why she bothers. Like it's more like I have this argument with her. one of my many arguments I have with her. But like she wants to hang the clothes out in the line because just fierce good drying out there. So there is. That's a perfect impression of her, of how she actually speaks as well. Fierce good drying out there, so there is Ducky. Look at it in the fucking gorgeous. But she insists on hanging clothes out in the line on a good day, even though it's more effort to have to like load them all into the linen basket, take it outside, peg them all up in the line and then take them back down. More effort. Just fire them into the dryer. Yeah, like save the electricity, so what? I'll pay the extra €2 or €3 cost for electricity to not have to hang them out. But anyway. She was out hanging out the clothes. I went out and I sat on the old bench outside, keep her company there while she was hanging them up. And in the few minutes I was just sitting out there, I could actually feel my skin audibly crackle under the Irish sun. So I can't. I just haven't got the skin for this kind of oppressive, dictatory heat. Like where were we? It was Tenerife. Yeah, when we went to Tenerife, she picked us up. Factor 50 sunscreen and I just got cooked clean through it. It made absolutely no difference whatsoever, and if it did make a difference I don't even want to know what I would have looked like hadn't I used it. But it felt like I was just basing myself in cooking oil because it didn't make a scree of difference. I have a picture on my phone. I often show people how badly I was sunburnt, like, and it's one of those photos where like you explain it to people how badly you burnt were and they're like yeah, and then you show them and they're like Jesus Christ. But no. The sun doesn't suit my skin well. So the last sunburn I had, I was at Mondello when I was up at the Drift Masters European Championship last year, which I will also be going to this year. And I'm going to Poland. She convinced me to go to Poland by dangling the finals of the Drift Masters in front of me and said, we can go and see it live over in Poland. And I was like, oh, fuck it, go on, so... So she's getting me to Poland eventually, you know, even though I made a joke in the video before. But what was I saying? I was talking about her tripe anyway, no doubt. But speaking of Ireland, we got the Northern Lights there this week, there recently, a few nights ago now, when I'm recording this, a few nights ago. The Northern Lights, there was a big feck-off solar flare, biggest in 20 years from the sun, and that's just kicked a load of solar wind our direction, which, you know, hits our atmosphere and gets scattered, and solar radiation, hits the atmosphere, gets scattered. And normally that's like high up in the kind of northern hemisphere, so you'd see it up around Iceland and stuff like that. But it was so powerful, it travels further down the planet. And wouldn't you know it, I was able to see it here in Tipperary in Ireland. And if you're not from Ireland, Tipperary is about halfway down in the middle. Some place you should never see the Northern Lights. But seeing them clear as day. I was out, I obviously knew the solar flare had happened, and I heard a hard tale that we may see the Northern Lights in the sky. So I left the dog out that night and initially didn't see anything at all. But the longer I stood out there, you know, obviously your eyes start to adjust to the darkness, and sure enough I could see just faint line go across the sky, just kind of faint, almost like a chalky line running from left to right in the sky. And my house faces south, so and this line was like almost directly above me, so it was going from left to right, essentially right across the sky. And I was like, that's hardly it, is it? I was like, in my head, I'm so used to like looking at, you know, pictures and stuff you see online. I thought it'd be like lighting up the sky and, you know, the ground and everything else. You know, when you see like one of those nights where the moon is especially bright and it just lights up all the ground and stuff like that. I thought it would be just that bright. And maybe it is some parts in the world, but this wasn't what I seen. Now, I also read online that apparently phone or cameras in general are a lot more sensitive at picking up the colours in the sky than the human eye. So I was just like, all right, let's whip out the phone and see if we can snap an old photo of this. And sure enough, whipped out the phone and boom, sky lit up like the ejaculation of a unicorn. Absolutely just scattered colours everywhere. There was greens and reds and purples and everything. Absolutely gorgeous looking. It was like, you know, I hate this word doesn't feel comfortable in my mouth for some reason because I don't say it often, but it was very pretty. You know, it's just really nice looking sky, and it's just a shame that it's a lot more vibrant through the phone, but thankfully, I have a Sony phone now. I'm going to get into a bit of tech talk here now of why I like Sony phones, because people often bitch at me and say, well, why are you using a Sony? Sure, it's either Samsung or iPhone. You don't be using anything else. Like, Sony have always had like really good cameras on their phone, and they're great for like if you're kind of anyway familiar with kind of filmmaking or just ordinary kind of point and shoot DSLR cameras and stuff like that. Sony phones are kind of enthusiast, or they're kind of aimed more towards enthusiast kind of filmmakers and people who are into cameras, who know their stuff. They're kind of aimed a bit more towards them. So I was able to like lower the shutter speed like way down so I can leave in as much light and stuff like that as I could. Like with my phone, I can actually take pictures of the stairs. So like, you know, that'll just give you an idea of how much you can mess with the manual settings. And sure enough, anyway, when I did that, got some amazing photos. As you've probably seen, I posted some to my Instagram and me Twitter as well, which is gorgeous. And a lot of you guys actually in the comments replied there with some of the places you could see it around Ireland. I don't know if it made it as far down as Cork now, the Northern Lights. Like, I've seen it essentially move across the sky. So, like, it kind of moved from the back of our house down to the front of our house and kind of continued on for a bit. But I don't know how far it went now, because I was only out there for about half an hour or so looking up at it. But yeah, it is mad. Like, it's the biggest solar flare in 20 years. And they were worried about, you know, kind of it might mess up electronics and stuff like that, because basically solar flares could work like an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, which could basically cause bits on circuit boards to get fried. Essentially, I don't know if it's just like electrons in the air kind of fucking blow up condensers on the motherboards or whatever. I don't know the nitty gritty, but I know it affects with electronics anyway. And every time I hear that, I'm just like, did the people who make these electronics not realize that we're right next to this giant ball of solar flares? Do they not see it in the sky for the better part of 12 hours a day? Would they not insulate all electronics to the possibility of it being hit by a fucking solar flare? Like, I don't know much about how the world will end or be plunged into like catastrophic apocalyptic kind of vibes or whatever all over the world, but I do feel like a huge solar flare is something that would be very possible to absolutely fuck this planet right up. And when we're sitting there kind of looking up at the sun every day kind of going, no it won't, not in our lifetime. I don't know, it just feels like if you're living next to somebody who has an entire armory of guns, it'd be a good idea to invest in some body armor just to be safe. But what else was new with me? I know it's been a while since I did a podcast now. I'd like to give a good excuse as to why. I was off curing orphans of cancer. No? Nobody buying that? No? Oh, well, it's worth a shot. No, I just go through long periods of, not doing that today. No, I don't want to. But yeah, it's been a while. I think it was the one I did with Connie was the last one I did. I was going to have her on again, but I don't know, her work schedule and all that. It's hard to line up to get her on, and then I end up just postponing it even longer, and then just nothing happens. But yeah, so it's been a while, and since then I've had a bit of growth on the channel, which is nice, because it's been a few years since I've had a nice little spike or two, you know, on the channel. So like, it grows, my channel grows by about 10 or 20 subscribers a day on average, you know, that kind of way. Over the last few years, it's been very slow moving. I think I was sitting at 176,000 subscribers for like the longest time. Recently I released that Living With a Woman 5, is it 5? Possibly 5. I don't know. I number them in my video project, and I actually name them for release later. But it was 5, but it was like, it ain't all bad, essentially. It was just some of the good points about living with a woman. One of my longest Living with a Woman video, but one of my longer videos on the channel. And I wouldn't mind, it was when I released oh, bear with me. Alright, I'm back now, sorry. Speak of the devil and she may rise. It was Connie ringing me. Somebody had left them in a duck. They found a wild duck, or duckling. She's kind of half given out down the phone, because what people do is, like, you know, when they find like stray animals, like stray cats or birds or whatever else, they bring them into the vets. But the thing is, a lot of the time there's nothing wrong with them. They're not injured or anything like that. They're just like, okay, what do you want us to do about it? We're a veterinary hospital. We're not a pound or a sanctuary, like. So, but obviously they're just like, I don't want to punish, you know, I don't want to be giving people shit because they're being nice trying to save an animal. So so now they got to figure out what to do with a random wild duckling. Like, I can see where she's coming from though. It'd be like finding an abandoned child and bringing it to a hospital and saying, here you go now, found it out in the street, you have it there now. And you're like, no, you take this to the guards or an orphanage or something. You don't bring it here. We only heal the things. We don't relocate them or anything, like. So yeah, so now she's trying to figure out what the fuck to do with a wild duckling. Apparently somebody found it. The mother of the duck was with the duck, but the mother got spooked and just left the duckling behind. And this person who found it had waited around for about an hour, but the mother never came back for it. So they brought it into the vets, hoping that they'd maybe have a contact or something. Or to be honest, I don't know what their kind of thought process was of bringing it to a vet. You'd bring it like a bird sanctuary or something, surely. But yeah, so now she's figured out. In my head, I just said it goes, would you not just, because there's a local park near where we live, I'm like, would you not just bring the duckling there and see if any of the ducks that hang out in the park inside would have any interest in taking it in, or maybe the mother of the duckling frequents that area as well, because a lot of people feed the ducks around that area. So, but no, she's got in anyway, and she'll figure it out. But this happens to them the whole time. People just come in with a stray cat. I found a stray cat, and they're like, "Is it injured?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And I was like, "Well, there's nothing we can do about it then. We're unless it's injured." And even still, like, you know, the thing is, if you bring in a wild animal to be taken care of, just in a vet's, like the bill is on you. Anything, because you're bringing it in and stuff like that. If it's just a case like this, obviously, I don't think they charge you anything for trying to help you to relocate it, but they also don't want the responsibility of it either. You know, they have 1,001 other things to be doing inside rather than taking care of stray animals. Like that's why you go to a sanctuary or a pound or whatever else. But yeah, on the top, I know I was talking about the woman video. Yeah, the woman video got a bit of traction, so it did. Got off to a good start, because I did that at the Wanket video, the longest video I've done on the channel, full stop. It went down well, but it didn't perform much better than any other kind of video I've done, which was a bit annoying, because obviously it took me a really long fucking time to make that. This video, I think the Living with a Woman video had a bit more broad appeal. But the thing is, when I finished the Wanket video, I was like, I'm never making a video that long again. That was painful. I know that the YouTube algorithm favours the long videos because it increases engagement, and you can run more ads on it, which YouTube also looks favourably upon, like, so they'll push it a bit more and all that. But I was like, I'm not doing that again. But then when I was writing the woman video, I was like, it's going to be another long one. I just can't. I can't stop myself from making long videos. It's like, you know, so occasionally, like one person a month would comment on my video, basically saying like something along the lines of this video is longer than it should have been, or make some sort of remark to me, kind of going off topic and ranting or whatever else. And that's not filler. I just can't stop myself. It just naturally makes its way into the script, and then I say something in my digression or my offshoot, and it's really funny, or I can work a really funny joke into it, and it just sticks. So I've been trying to get myself to not do that. And then just I was like, right, the next video after this woman video is going to be a short one. Don't care what anyone says. It's going to be 17 seconds long. It's going to have one joke, and it's going to be a shit joke at that. And people be happy and leave me alone. And I can make it in an hour, have it done, kick my feet up, take it easy for the rest of the week. But no, sure enough, then when I uploaded that Woman Part 5 video, got loads of traction. I don't know if it's just the broader appeal to it. It's obviously, it's got everything going for it. It's a long enough old video. It's obviously, because it's animated, it's of a higher production value of what you'd expect from most videos around the place. Because typically, you know, gameplay videos and all that stacked up next to it wouldn't hold up as well. And it's got that broader appeal of talking about living with a woman in a relationship. And I suppose in a way it's got more of a positive spin this time around. I'm not giving out about women, even though I probably give out about women more so in this one. It was a thinly veiled excuse to give out about women in different ways, but, you know, sprinkle in some niceties in there just so you don't realise I'm feeding you poison. But yeah, I think because of all that, it got a few new faces into the channel, a few new people popping in, and I'm still getting the fucking people commenting going, oh my god, I forgot you existed. You know, people are like, oh, I haven't seen this guy in years. I'm like, just subscribe, it's absolutely free, costs you nothing, just hit the button, just hit it. Not that really makes much of a difference nowadays anyway. I'm subscribed to people on YouTube that I haven't seen post in ages, and it's just because I haven't been recently checking them out. YouTube is just not recommending them to me. And I just straight up don't use the subscription tab anymore because the way they moved around YouTube a couple of years back. But yeah, a few new faces in there. Hello lads, if you're tuning into the podcast. Hope you're doing well. How's your mother? Is she good? Dead, you say? Right. Well, welcome in anyway. I hope you enjoy this. This is the podcast. This is where I sit down and talk out loud to myself in a room, and hope to God somebody is listening on the other side. But yeah, nice to have a few friendly new faces in there. You know, it's nice to get that little burst. I don't know, just for the aging men out there. You know, when you're in your 20s and you're copulating with a woman, and you arrive, shall we say, and you kind of, there's a bit of torque behind it, you know? There's a bit of pressure. It fires off. You get a bit of lift out of it, a bit of velocity. But as you age, as you get that little bit older, it goes from a bang into more of a soft whimper. And it turns into what it's like when you're trying to get a bit of hand soap out of a dispenser. You know, just that soft little But being able to still get little spikes in views and growing viewership and all that, it's like the occasional one you get when you arrive, even as an old man, that does fire off out of the blue. I don't know, maybe it's been a couple of weeks since you cocked the barrel, you know? But for whatever reason, you maybe had a randy day. Maybe you just, maybe you blue balled yourself once upon a time. But whatever happened, it just led up to one random feckin' fire off. You hit her in the face, or you hit the cistern or the toilet, I don't know, wherever you may tickle yourself. And it takes you by surprise. And, you know, you can't help but think to yourself, yeah, I still got it. It's kind of like that. That's the way I look at the old sudden spike I've gotten recently. I've still got it. Years later, I've still got it. It's like my channel hasn't been growing, not because my videos haven't been good. It's just because I haven't had one that's performed well enough to appear in front of a bunch of new people. Because you do start worried, you know, because I've been at this 7 years. So you do kind of think these thoughts do creep into your head on occasion. You're just like, am I still good? Am I still doing this right? Are my videos still enjoyable? You know, am I still at a level? Am I still growing at a level that people are able to get on board with and enjoy the watching? And then when that happens, you're like, I am. So don't worry too hard about it, because my videos, the views on my videos over the last few years haven't gone down. That's when you know a channel is dying. If I dare utter the words, that's how you know a channel is dying on YouTube, is when their average views start to go down. But my average views have stayed the exact same. All the people that have subscribed to my channel, or at least the same amount of the people that are subscribed to my channel, are still coming back to check out the next video. You know, everyone's still excited to see the new videos. So that's great. That hasn't changed. It's just I haven't had any new viewers to kind of help push the numbers up a bit more for future video releases. So, but yeah, I'm delighted I've finally passed the milestone of 200,000 subscribers. And yeah, it's feel good. It's just nice to get away from that one number I was sitting on for like 6 months. So, so that's great. Happy enough with that. Next video coming up, for those of you who may want to know, it's called Tragically Hilarious, although the name might change. But it's another Cashier Chronicles kind of video, because it's a story that takes place around the time I was working back in Savage Value. So you have that to look forward to. I think it's hilarious, but some people might think it's tragic. But that'll be for you to decide upon release. But I'm about halfway through the edit on that, and it's going well. I've kept up the momentum from my last video, and hopefully it'll turn out well. So that's what you have to look forward to for the next one. Anyway, give you now Doggy update. Max has been through the works the last couple of weeks. So for those of you who don't know, or you're just tuned into the podcast for the first time, I'm having my doggo, a man of his advanced age. He's a 12-and-a-half-year-old pit bull, and he's got a world of health problems, as we all would do when we hit old age. But he's got a new diagnosis of something, and he's got doggy dementia, which that's the latest thing now. That's your gift for getting old, dementia. Oh, you live to old age. Well, here's loads of illnesses there. That's your reward. But yeah, no, he's already got loads of stuff. Like he keeps getting ear infections. He's allergies with his skin. He's lymphoma. That's somehow his bloods are still more or less grand. It's a slow moving lymphoma. So it's kind of one of these things that you can't do anything about it, and you just monitor it and see if it's getting better or worse over time or whatever. It's not affecting his lifestyle right now anyway. And like the expectancy of this lymphoma is about 4 years, and he's had it for about 3. But so far, so good. Still not showing any kind of negative signs to it. But his new thing is he's got dementia. He's got a thing called sundowners, which I didn't realize dogs could get until Max got it, and I started reading into it and all that. It's not that I didn't believe they'd got it. I just never thought about it, you know? So it was just one of those things. But he's got a thing called sundowners, which basically... it's something got to do with like the melanin? No, melanin is the thing in your skin. Melatonin. Is that even a word? I don't know. I've said it so many times in my head now, it's lost on me. But I'm not going to look it up. Melatonin, I'm assuming that's it. But basically, when that kind of gets altered with their sleep-wake cycle, when the sun goes down in the evening, it's this type of dementia basically causes him to get a bit loopy. How it started is really weird, because I thought it was just him getting old and being just an oddball, because he's an oddball anyway. But where he sleeps at night, myself and Connie be inside in the bed, and he has his own dog bed in the corner of the room that he throws himself down on, and you know that he's happy enough with that setup. You know, he likes sleeping on the floor in his own little bed there. That's grand. We get to move around the bed. Sometimes he'd sleep in the bed. Every now and again he might climb up and, you know, get in between us, but that wouldn't last long because our legs are in the way, and he just can't move about. But so he was happy enough in his bed for the last few years. But a few months ago, he started getting up onto the bed with us, regardless. Didn't care how uncomfortable he was. He'd get up and sandwich himself in between us and sleep there. So we're just like, oh, it's weird. He's getting a bit more kind of needy in his old age. But thought nothing of it. You know, that kind of way. It's just like, Max just been... He's always been a needy dog anyway. Always needs to be touching you if you're up on the couch or anything like that. But it was about a month or so after that, after him more or less sleeping in the bed every night with us, he refused to get up onto the bed. And instead what he'd do is he'd sleep on a pile of my clothes that Connie loves that I have in the room. A pile of my dirty clothes. Rather than getting into his bed, he'd sleep in a pile of dirty clothes. So I was like, oh, right, that's a bit more odd. That's very strange. He's just randomly sleeping on this thing that's much more uncomfortable than his own bed. And then I just catch him staring off the door. If I close the door in the room, he'd just stand at the door staring at it. And if I open it, he won't go out. So it's not like he wanted to go out. It's just like he doesn't like being in the room without an escape plan or something. Then after a while at night, he just became insufferable. He'd like whinge. Just this thing where he'd just sit there, like his eyes are wide. He keeps acting like he's seeing something or he's looking at something, but nothing's there. Like if you're afraid of ghosts, this is the kind of behaviour you wouldn't want to see in a dog. You know? But he'd do this thing where it's really annoying. He'd be sitting in the dark at night and all he hears. It's like this kind of anxious kind of breathing out of him where he's just nervous. You know, that kind of way? Just kind of unsettledness, and he'd get up and he'd dig at his bed and he'd jump from one sleeping spot to another, and he just, wouldn't sleep. He'd spend the whole night just pacing and just being completely unsettled. And, a few other things then that could throw him with that. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, let's get him looked at. And I was like, sure enough, yeah, telltale signs of doggy dementia. So he's on Valium now. He's got the diazepam, the good sleepy stuff, or Anxicam as they call him. And give him a couple of them at night there and try and knock him out. For a while though, it was really annoying because it was like the Valium was making him more anxious. It was like because he was like trying to fight the dopiness of the Anxicam, because it's supposed to be like a muscle relaxant and stuff like that. It's supposed to basically help him sleep quickly. It almost seemed like the drug was making him feel so funny that that actually made him more anxious. Now and again, I have to actually go down to the sitting room with him and just let him up, cuddle me on the couch there while I watch something, just so he can sleep for about 20 minutes, and that kind of switches his brain over to sleep mode so he doesn't get anxious after that then when I go to bed. But yeah, that's his latest thing. Thankfully, he's fairly grand during the day, so it's not a big deal, and it's not like I have to be up for work in the morning and stuff like that. So when he does get unsettled, it's not like it's not a total disaster. And I'm trying to use them Valium sparingly though. But yeah, so some nights you have to absolutely dose him, give him a double dose just to knock him out, because he'll just keep fighting it or be unsettled for the night. But yeah, that's Max's new problem. But other than that, he's grand. The whole thing with dementia, there's no cure for it. I have him on these tablets called Celgene or Celgene, something like that anyway. It's specifically for dementia. And I can't stand the bastards that make it because of the cost of it. It's, what did it work out? To get it in Ireland, it works out roughly about €4 or €5 per tablet. And you get them in packs of 30, like, a month's dose. So like a tablet a day or half a tablet, whatever you're doing like that. But that's some American priced feckin' medication that is. So what did it work out? It worked out at something like nearly £200 for a box of 30 in Ireland. Near as makes no difference for that. And I was like, for a medication for an animal with dementia, that is some scummy fucking pricing. And I know it's not some sort of manufacturing thing or ingredient or anything like that. That's just pure greed is what that fucking is with that price. Oh, stuff like that drives me insane. It's like, there's this company here in Ireland called, is it IVC? And they're essentially buying up veterinary clinics all over Ireland and raising the fucking prices of everything. And it's pure sick behaviour, just riding the back off of people who are wanting to take care of their sick animals. It's disgusting. It's actually disgusting. And it's almost every second vets in Ireland is now owned by this one company called IVC. Because I copped this, because there's a place there, I won't name names, but there's a veterinary clinic I had to go to recently to get Max scanned for something. So like my local veterinary clinic, they don't have a thing for doing like CT scans or anything like that, But so I had to travel to get Max a CT scan done, just to check him out, to make sure there was nothing nefarious hiding in his torso or anything. But there's this one place and they were bought out by IVC, and on their website you can see the prices of their CT scans, which are already fucking saucy enough as is. Getting a CT scan for an animal done is it's very expensive. But on their website they had prices down. But because they haven't updated their website since they've been bought out by this IVC company, what they quoted me on the phone for the CT scan is almost twice as expensive as what's declared on their website. And that's obviously because this IVC company has bought them out and caused them to jack up the prices, because I've no doubt in my mind this IVC company is just run by people who are trying to make money, not people who actually give a shit about animals at all. It's pure, it's trying to get a monopoly, trying to monopolise it, because it's just going around buying up private practices all over Ireland. It's like the thing they're doing, like the Irish housing market, where new houses are being built and then corporate companies come in and buy up a load of houses. They buy up like an entire estate, and then they can just set the rent in that estate to whatever price they want, because they're dictating how much the houses are worth in that area, because they own them all. It's pure scummy. But rant over anyway. I'll move on. I don't know what I was saying. But I was giving out about the price of Celgene. I just hate that. Really expensive, needlessly expensive medication for people who are looking after animals. Like, thankfully, at my kind of job, I can afford the Celgene. You know, I'm not making fucking thousands a month here, but like, I've enough that I can afford to get this stuff, but I'm not happy about paying that price for it, if that makes sense. You know, it still hits me bottom line all the same. Like, I'm not shy about spending money on animals, but that's because I really like animals, and I'll give the fucking animals the best healthcare I can. Connie worked this out for me the other day. She was able to check my account in there the other day. But it's about $4,000 I've spent on dogs in the last 5 years, something like that. Just on like surgeries and medication and everything else. And that includes me getting her staff discount, because we're together and, you know, mates rates. So God only knows what that'd be at if I didn't get that. I'm not shy about spending it, but when I'm only spending a lot of money because of greed, that doesn't sit well with me at all. I can't stand that. Like, how do these people sleep at night? And we just raise the prices on all these procedures that people have to pay for in order to look after their sick or dying animal. Absolutely disgusting. To be honest, I don't know how come nothing's been done about this, because I'm sure like the general public and animal owners all over Ireland are starting to feel it. Like, every time you go into a veterinary clinic and you're something as simple as a neuter costing like 400 quid, it's getting completely out of hand. Oh, speaking of Connie, by the way, she's had a bad run of it. She's had a bad run of it recently. She has an e-reader. She's one of these Kobo e-readers, and she always falls asleep with it in bed. We have this cute little ritual where she goes to bed, she reads her e-reader, and she falls asleep with it in her hand, and then I go to bed and I get into bed and I lie on top of it. That's a lovely little routine we have. But it's gotten to the stage now where I go to bed and I just, essentially before I get into bed, I have to search the bed for her discarded e-reader, like where's Wally, and leave it to the side. But went to bed the other night, sure enough, there's a e-reader thrown on top of my pillow or under it or wherever it was, moved to the side. And then the following night, she comes down the stairs, you know, kind of doing that fake woman cry thing. She's like, oh. I'm like, what's wrong with you? She's like, my e-reader's broken. I was like, what do you mean broken? I looked at it. It looked like you'd punched it in the middle of the screen. There was just kind of weird crack lines coming from the centre of it. And I was just laughing because I was like, do you know how that happened now? She's like, what? And I was like, I bet you rolled over in your sleep and fucking stuck your elbow on top of the screen or something. She's like, no, I didn't. I was like, I guarantee that's the only explanation, because the way the cracks are in the screen, it looked like it got impacted with something. There was nothing else really for her. But thankfully, like, her birthday was coming up and I had actually ordered her a replacement e-reader, because hers is like 12 years old. I gave it to her early because her reading the e-reader kind of helps her sleep at night and stuff like that. So I gave it to her. I just told her, I was like, yeah, look, just wait for 2 days. You'll have a new one. It's fine. But like a day later, she comes down the stairs again. Say like following night, came down the stairs again, and same thing again. And I was like, oh, what's wrong with you now? My phone won't turn on. I was like, what the fuck? And she had this like Galaxy A51. It's, you know, kind of a mid-range Samsung phone from maybe 3-4 years old, something like that. And it was stuck in a boot loop. Now, I've worked with electronics and stuff like that in the past myself, so I was just like, boot loop is easy to fix, like, you know, just force or give it a hard reset or whatever. Like, so I was doing everything and it just wouldn't come back on. It was just, there was something. It turned out to be a hardware fault. Before anybody says anything or tries to give me tips on how to do it, I tried to give it a hard reset, like, you know, holding down the volume down and the power button at the same time. I all the tricks of my trade from working in today's CEX to get things turned on, and none of it was working. But it's a hardware fault. I reckon something was overheating in it, because when the phone was cold, when it was left alone for like an hour or two to kind of cool, so to speak, you could turn it on and it would work for about 5 minutes. But it would just end up turning off and going back into a boot loop after that. Or sometimes it would just, if you turned it on and started using it heavily straight away, it would just turn straight back off again. So my guess is there's some sort of chip or something inside just overheating, causing it to shut back down. But that was it, yeah. She had to fuck off and get a new phone then the other day. But it was just back to back, the e-reader and the phone just crapped out there. So she had an awful run. But she's back up and running now. She's got the Galaxy S24. That's her replacement. I don't know why she's sticking with Samsung, to be quite honest. Because her last phone was another Galaxy was S something or other, and that died. Problem with the motherboard couldn't be fixed, according to the phone repair shop. So she had to get the A51 to replace that one, and obviously it's going to be another like internal, probably a motherboard fault with that one as well. So I'm just like, come on now, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Get a new brand. Stop going with Samsung. Just phantom fecking problems that is not obvious. Like, and she's like, what? Like, oh, I was like, I don't know, anything at all deserves their money. When a company's after fucking irking you twice, why bother? It's like me with Razer. I had like a Razer keyboard before, and my like wrist rest on it kind of wore out. It was this plush one. It like wore out, got all manky and all that. And then I contacted Razer and I was like, hey, can I get like a replacement wrist rest? I wasn't looking for it under warranty or anything. I was like, where do I buy one? Because this one is in bits, is in shit. Can I get a replacement one, please? Oh, we don't sell them separately. I was like, this is a magnetic detachable wrist rest, and you don't sell the replacement of it at all. Like, no. I was like, all right, that was strike one. And then strike two, my mouse, my Razer mouse, that was approximately, what was it? I paid nearly 200 quid for it. It was like a really good wireless mouse. And literally a month outside the 2-year warranty or the 1 year warranty. It was 2-year warranty, but a month outside that, stopped working. And it wasn't even that. It was like the left scroll click failed on the first, and then it just completely shut itself after that. No explanation, no nothing. So that was me. That was my cut off. Like, I'm never buying another Razer product again. This is bullshit. But no, she's not learning. Like my Sony phones. Now I had Sony phones in the past that have just crapped out. But Sony's always fixed them, or you send them away to get it refurbished or whatever. So Sony's always looked after them. Even one time I had a phone that was out of warranty and they still sorted. My PSP back in the day, crapped out on me one day. It just stopped working. Contacted Sony. Wasn't even like the warranty what I had with Extravision at the time was gone. And I just rang Sony about it. I contacted Sony and they're just like, yeah, we'll look after it. Send it on to us and whatever. And I sent it off and then they sent it back to me. I don't know if it was the same one, but they sent back a PSP, refurbished one. And they gave me a copy, a UMD of Spider-Man 2 as some sort of a apology or something from them. I don't know. Or maybe it was just like, yeah, here, have a movie. They probably are trying to get rid of them. I don't know. But they gave me a free movie and fixed my PSP, which I later found out they shouldn't have fixed it because it was water damage, because my brother didn't tell me. He'd actually dropped it in the toilet. So like that shouldn't have been covered, but they fixed it anyway and said nothing and didn't point anything out. And they, like, inside electronics, if you don't know, there's these little white tabs. This little CEX trick that you may not know, a little kind of electronics. This is how we check stuff. But there's these little white stickers inside, typically on the motherboards and different points. You can find them behind the covers on old Samsung phones as well. You pop off the back cover. It's usually sitting by the battery and stuff like that, underneath the battery. But there's these little white tabs, and if they come in contact with moisture, they turn red and they stay red. So that's how you can tell at a glance if something was like water damaged in the past or what have you. And I've no doubt they were in the PSP when they opened it up, but they just refurbished it or replaced it anyway and said none. My Xperia Play that I talked about in a video before with the PlayStation phone, the one I was going to buy off Hef in the Wanked video, I still have that. I broke that. I broke the screen. I say broke the screen. I broke the outer glass of the screen. The phone still works, still turns on, still use it. That's what, like 14, 15 years old, still in my drawer, still works. So yeah, I've always just stuck with Sony. For the phone I have now, the Sony XZ3. I bought this a year before I left CEX. I still have it now. It's still working perfectly fine. It's a bit slow. It's a bit long in the tooth. But beyond that, still flawless. Like even the battery is still lasting a whole day. It's great. So like that's why I'll always give Sony my money. But yeah, no, I don't know why people keep going back to companies that are just shafting them every time. I know every company's out to shaft you, but at least I don't like buying stuff from a company that I suspect is doing planned redundancy, something that I think they're building knowing that it's going to fail not long after it's outside its warranty. That kind of way, because it's pure scummy. And I suspect Samsung probably does that, or doesn't build it to last. Like you think with phones, naturally you'd have to upgrade them anyway, because just like my phone starts getting a bit slow, a bit unresponsive, as apps require more and more RAM as time goes on, and obviously I think my phone is like 4 gigs of RAM, which is just not fast enough anymore, and the CPU in it is not as snappy as like more modern phones and all that. So as time goes on, the apps require more out of the phone, and obviously older phones like mine can't give them, so they slow down. So you think that's like a natural progression. So you just kind of one day you kind of go, right, I'm sick of waiting 15 seconds every time I open up the camera app. I'm going to get a new phone. So you think it's like a natural thing. You shouldn't have to plan these redundancies, but I suspect some companies are definitely doing that. The most annoying thing about her problem was when I was looking it up, it was like Samsung A51 stuck in boot loop. The amount of people posting about the exact same phone having the exact same problem all within the last 10 months. So like that's my head. I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I wonder if they release some sort of update that purposely like randomly fuck the phone up out of nowhere, cause a chip to overheat or something. I know it's possible. So I wonder if they just hid something in one of their updates there that just made these phones fail at random intervals. They're like, I don't know, there's an awful lot of people still using our old phones. Here, I'll drop out an old update there that'll make shit of them, so they'll be forced to get a new phone. We need to bump up the sales for this quarter. If that's the case, Connie played straight into the hand because she ended up going with the new Samsung. See, I'm sporting new jewellery lately. You should see, lads. I got some swag. I got some swag off my niece. My niece made me these cool little bracelets. You know those like plasticky loop ones. I've pictures on my Instagram. Go check out my Instagram and you'll see them. I don't push that. You know what's actually funny about my Instagram? I've been sitting on like 9,900 and something followers for about 2 years on there, and you need 10,000 to become verified. So just looking at that kind of going, and I don't care enough to push it. I could like do a mention of my Instagram in a video and that'll more than get the numbers up easily, but I don't care. But I just thought that was a funny little funny bit of trivia there. But yeah, if you check out my Instagram there, you'll see these bracelets. Now you'll be forgiven for thinking that I hate kids, and you'll be forgiven for thinking that because I'm the one who told you that, because I don't like kids. But I'm starting to realise it's been a long time since I made that video about things I hate about kids and stuff, that it's actually not kids per se that I hate. It's babies. It's taken me a few years to realise that, because now I've nieces and nephews, and I actually get on grand with them. I play them because I just realised, wait a minute, I'm just a big child. Everything they come up to me, every idea they come up to me with, I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Do that. You know, they come up and like, here, put me up on your back and spin me around really fast. I'm like, actually, it sounds like a laugh. Yeah, jump up the fuck there. Why not spin you around there? Let me chase you around the place. let me pelt you with a ball there. It was like, sure, one of it was like a birthday party at my nephew's house. My brother's house, and they had a bouncy castle here, like obstacle course, and sure, it's just me and the kids and my older brother, because he's a big child as well. We're all just fucking barreling through it. So over the years I've realised it's not kids per se I hate, it's just babies. And Connie was laughing at this as well, because she's great with babies, she's great time for babies because she finds them all cute and all that, but when the second they start talking and stuff like that, that's when she's like, no, get that away from me. And I'm the opposite. I'm just like, oh, dirty shitty ball farting and shitting into the palm of your hand, get that away from me. Bring me the one that will ask me questions. Bring me the one that I can talk to. But yeah, so since then anyway, my position on kids has softened. Not on having them. I will point this out straight away. I have absolutely zero interest in having any kids. That's not changing. Connie's in the same boat as well. Absolutely no interest in having kids. Full stop. It's so much better when you can just show up, interact with the kids, get them all hyped, as I do. Go over to my brother's place and whatever, get them all hyped up, get the kids fucking reared up on sugar and mental out of their fucking mind with excitement, and then leave them to unload all that extra energy on their parents. Because you could just go, okay, I'm done with hanging out with kids now, I'm leaving. You don't get that. You can't do that with your own kids. Well, you could, but I don't know how far you get. It's like that joke I heard years ago. It's like, me and my girlfriend have decided that we don't want to have kids, so if anybody wants them, let us know where you live, we can drop them off. But anyway, my niece made me a bracelet because she's a little bit smitten that her uncle has a YouTube channel and he's an absolute legend. So she makes me some swag. I'll get some niece swag, and she's made me a little like Sergeant Ducky bracelet out of these like beads things, and she's made her magnum opus, the Gay Tuesday one, and she themed them very nicely as well. So the Ducky one is actually themed in the kind of the colours of the Ducky character. So you got your greens and the yellows and the black, and the Gay Tuesday one is the full on gay rainbow. And so that's my new swag I'm sporting on my wrist. I really need to make a new kids video on my new position, because I have stories now. I think I could put a spin it, because it's actually my most commented on video on my channel. It's about 2,500 comments on that video. It's apparently the most controversial thing I've ever said in my entire YouTube history is I don't want kids. But yeah, I need to make a new one of them soon. I know the next video is tragically hilarious. The following video is going to be about a face reveal, and then the video after that I'll probably make it the kids one. But yeah, I don't know. She's a little bit smitten with the channel anyway, because like I got a text off my brother. Have I been calling them my uncles, my brothers? I don't know. I'm not even going to go back and correct myself. But a text off my brother anyway, and it's basically my niece had gone onto this website called Famous Birthdays. And apparently it's just like collection of like this archive of celebrities and all their birthdays and all that on it. And she found me on there, Sergeant Ducky. She found Sergeant Ducky on there, and she was a bit elated at that. She was like, oh my God, he's famous. Well, she didn't say that, but I'd like to imagine that's what she was thinking. But yeah. So somebody in the comments of those videos on Instagram was saying about how they'd love actually the Gay Tuesday bracelet. And my niece was asking me, she's about 12 for context, but she was asking me for if she could make them up maybe for fans or stuff like that. That's a cool enough idea. Have my niece make up a load of like Gay Tuesday wristbands for people or bracelets. But I don't know about the way to do that. If you're watching this on YouTube there, to comment below, let me know what you think might be a good idea, because it like crossed my mind to make it like a Patreon tier and all that, but then I was like, no, because I'd have to be like getting onto my niece every time, kind of going, oh yeah, I need 25 more bracelets there. You know, she may want to do it now, but she won't want to do it in 6 months or a year's time, like, you know. So, but yeah, let me know if you have any good ideas of what I could do with them. But anyway, lads, do you know what time it is? It's time for Quack Me Up Corner.
Quack, 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 quack me up. Quack, 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 quack me up. Get your ducks in order. It's time for Quack Me Up Corner.
So today for Quack Me Up Corner, I have one joke, only one, but I've also a couple of Irish phrases that I've heard recently that I found very funny. But the joke is actually a joke Connie told me the other day that she came across, and I've managed to find the full joke online here now, so I can read it out for you. But I thought it was quite good. She seemed to laugh a bit harder at it than perhaps she should have. But you'll understand once I read the joke out to you here now. So right, here we go. A woman awakes in the middle of the night to find that her husband's not in bed. So she throws on a robe and goes downstairs to look for him. She finds him in the kitchen table with a cup of hot chocolate in front of him, and he appears to be in deep thought, just staring at the wall. But while she's looking at him, she notices that he wipes away a tear from his eye. "What's the matter, my dear?" she whispers as she steps into the room. "Why are you down here at this time of night?" And the husband looks up from his drink and says, "It's the 20-year anniversary since the day we met." She can't believe he's remembered this and starts to tear up. "Do you remember 20 years ago when we started dating? And I was 18 and you were only 15? Once again, the wife is touched to tears, thinking her husband was so caring and sensitive. "Yes, I do." The husband pauses, the words not coming easily. "Do you remember when your father caught us in the back seat of my car?" "Yes, I remember," said the wife, lowering herself into the chair beside him. The husband continued. "Do you remember when he shoved that shotgun in my face and said, 'You either marry my daughter or I'll make sure you'd spend the next 20 years in prison'?" "I remember that too," she replied softly. He sighed and wiped another tear from his cheek and said, "I would have gotten out today." So there you go, lads. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure I enjoyed how much Connie enjoyed it. But there you go. Yeah, no, I came across a couple of Irish phrases there the other day. I was Googling. Myself and Connie were driving back there from Nina. Anyone from Nina? Shout out to Nina. We're driving back from Nina. And I was reading out a load of Irish phrases there just to make the trip a little bit less monotonous. And I came across some great, ridiculous Irish phrases that, you know, and I made a mental note of a couple of them that tickled me clit, if you get me. One of the phrases I heard was a really good one. "Jesus, he's a face for modelling balaclavas." Which I think is excellent. You know, because you get the whole face for radio kind of thing, but I just like that. It's one I hadn't heard before. A face for modelling balaclavas. So there you go now, lads. You can put that in your top pocket there and use that going forward. Another one I read. "Enough cheek for a second arse." So, you know, somebody been a bit lippy with you, huh? You're just, Jesus, he's enough cheek for a second arse, that lad. Also tickled me, quite a good one. I enjoyed that. And the last one, which made me laugh a lot more than I think it should have. But it's talking to somebody who's got a really thin figure, somebody who's very skinny. And it's the phrase goes, "She's so skinny, one eye do her." Which is nonsensical yet fucking hilarious. So those are some lovely Irish phrases that came along. If you have any Irish phrases of your own you particularly enjoy, by all means comment them down below. I love adding new phrases into my arsenal there for an old chat, because it adds a bit of flavour, a bit of razzmatazz to a conversation with people. Like, you know, it's always great to throw out an old phrase there that'll have the lads in hysterics. I remember when I was talking to PJ and a friend of mine there, Magic Skeptic, who've had in the podcast there before, and he's his channel of his own there. Feel free to check him out. You'll be able to find him through one of my old podcasts, or just type in Magic Skeptic into the search bar and magic will happen and his channel will come up. But I was talking to him and PJ there one day, and he was telling me about a phrase that his father said once. He was playing a poker game or something like that, and his father lost a hand and said, Jesus, I'm so unlucky that if I fell into a bag of tits, I'd fall out sucking me thumb. Which I think is like the most excellent one I've ever heard to this day. So, yeah. I love little kind of fucking throwaway quick phrases like that. But right now, lads, we're going to move over to some STIs. That's right, sexually transmitted, supporter tailored inquiries. These are questions that have been sent in to me from my Patreon supporters. And if you want to get in on that, actually, if you want to ask me a question on these podcasts, or you just want to support my channel and stuff like that in general, head on over to Patreon. That old money every month is much appreciated. Goes a long way into making me be able to take a lot more risks with videos. Yeah, so if you do want to support the channel or have your name and lights at the end of the videos or anything like that, or avail of bonus content, as I'm going to be recording another one this evening, another recording today, which is a behind the scenes look at that latest Living with a Woman video on the channel, where I talk a little bit more about the video, about the making of, tidbits, information, all that kind of stuff on the side. But yeah, if you want to avail of any of that, or this thing I'm doing lately, I'm actually posting all my kind of assets and updates of my making videos on my Patreons, just so they're a bit more in the loop of how close I am to the end of stuff. And that so like recently I posted all like the background sets I'm going to be using for this video, or that I am using for the video I'm currently making on, as well as the new characters. So yeah, like it's great for if you're like one of these people that likes to hunt for little background gags and all that, because I post a full clean image of the background set, so it's like high res, more higher res than you'd actually see in the videos. I know my videos are like 1440p, but I obviously draw the background canvases for different kind of locations. I draw them way bigger because it gives me the ability to zoom in and out without kind of losing quality. So that's if you want your clearest picture of the background gags, that's the way to see them. But yeah, if you want to support me, head on over to Patreon and sign up to any of the tiers, any of my lads, even something as small as €1, absolutely fine with me. But anyway, I'll move on to the questions. So these are questions sent in by all my lovely Patreon supporters that have some inquiries, some questions, anything at all that they want my 2 cents on. Sorry, Connie just sent me on photos of this little duckling that she's looking after, and he's an adorable little thing. I'll actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll actually put up pictures of it on the screen there now for you to see. But look at little fuzzball. And he's sleeping inside in her jacket there and everything. So there you go. This is as live as my life gets in the podcast. Watch that. I didn't even plan for this in the podcast, and it's going to be the highlighted podcast for everyone. But a cute little fucker he is. So hopefully there's a good resolution to that, because baby birds don't do well at any stage in their life. They're a fragile little yolk. Anyway, so first question from the STIs. Stephen Mills asks, could you do a segment on going into when each of the boys in the videos were actually the people they were based off of? So I suppose for the general audience, a lot of you wouldn't know, as I talked more about this in a few of my bonus videos over on Patreon, that not all my characters are actually the person they're based off of. That doesn't make sense, but allow me to clear it up for you. So in my videos, I obviously have to change names and sometimes places and stuff like that, just to keep people's privacy, because a lot of the stories that I do don't paint people in a particular light. These videos specifically would be Tony stories, as you know, Tony's the friend that's always getting up to no good and doing shit that's not commendable. You know, you wouldn't look up to him for this kind of behavior. But obviously I don't want to like name and shame, and I want to tell the story, but I don't want to, embarrass anybody in public or anything like that. So I changed names. And Tony is somebody who's not always one person. So in the first video that Tony appeared in, The Pact, Tony was basically the name I used for a friend who that night cheated on his missus and broke a pact with the boys. So the stories that involve Tony are 100% true to life. It's only the names and faces have changed, so to speak, or only the names and places have changed for that. But basically, yeah, he cheated on his missus, which is not my business. I was more concerned about him breaking a pact with the boys. But obviously in that video, I couldn't outright name him based off the person he was, because even though the pact video was made years after the events had happened, this fella was still with his missus. They were still in a relationship, and I believe he was never caught for that. So I couldn't make it public. I didn't want to name him, so I just gave him the moniker of Tony. But then the next video after that, hold on, I check now because my memory is it's fairly faulty. So the next video was the party aftermath. Yeah, so Tony played a different person in real life. Somebody who I will name because it was actually funnier. There was a friend of ours called the Shadow. Now, like, the reason I do these with like Tony and Connor are never based off one person. They're placeholder names or placeholder characters I use for different situations. So Connor I use for like an accessory friend that was out the night, that, you know, nothing of note happened with, you know, just it could have been a friend of a friend, or, you know, a straggler that occasionally comes in and out, you know, it just makes it less confusing for the audience, people watching, if I just use Connor rather than introducing new characters every video, even if they're only going to be in it for one video and then they're gone again, you know, that kind of way. So it's just like, yeah, Connor can play that character in this video because it's not integral to the story. And then for Tony's then became the character that if one of the lads or one of the mates does something embarrassing or you know, kind of not above board, you know, something that you'd be ashamed that would be made public, then Tony would take over that role, or at least, you know, that'd be told through the vessel of a Tony. And I also found it quite funny that it was just Tony being Tony every time. I just love the idea of just that one friend, because it's very true to life. There's always going to be one friend in the group that's always getting up to fucking no good and all that. And this is the only way I can actually tell that story without upsetting anybody in the same breath. So, but in the second video was the party aftermath video. That was actually a friend of ours, so I'm happy to name. His nickname is the Shadow because he's very soft spoken, and you wouldn't realize when he's like, if you're standing in a group of people, suddenly he's just there. He's such a shadowy old figure that he just appears. So he got the nickname the Shadow. At least that's how I think he got the nickname anyway. Because when you're talking to him, you're like, oh yeah, that fits. But that was a night we were out in the sesh, and I went to bed early. And I'd worked the next morning. I woke up with the smell of cigarettes and alcohol being blown in my face, only to find Shadow in my bed with me. He didn't even top and tail. He was like literally like looking at me right in the face, and he was out cold. He was breathing into my face. And I woke up absolutely terrified. I was just like, oh no. Because I was like, I had to get up out of the bed, and it just was still like, I haven't talked about it in the video, but this was still really early in the morning. It was like 5-6 in the morning, and I wasn't due to get up for work until about 9 or so. So I was so freaked out by the whole situation. I had to go downstairs and sleep in the armchair for the last like 2 hours because I didn't want to wake a man pissed out of his mind and say, lad, you seem to be so drunk you're going to try to get off at me. But yeah, so that's who Tony played in the second outing. But yeah, that's the long and short of it is, without kind of going too much into it, Tony's almost never the same character. He's only ever played one established character in a video, and the character of Casey in the head Casey, he's played him once in a video, and that was, I think it was the No Shirts Given video. Yeah, it was No Shirts Given, and that was just when there was a night out we were having, and basically Casey was out drinking with us, and he just turned up with no ID on him and couldn't get into the pub. And you know, that one friend who doesn't turn up with ID kind of ruins it for the rest, and you're like, oh come on, we don't want to abandon you now this is a whole situation that could have been avoided had you just brought ID. But then it turned out Casey didn't even have any ID, so yeah, it was just the whole thing. Now I could have just used Casey in that situation, but you know, it doesn't paint him in the best kind of light there, and it just kind of makes sense to keep the core group the same with Connor, Tony, myself, PJ and Hef. So I just, you know, Tony takes one for the team yet again. But I'm trying to think, has he ever played the same character twice? I don't think so, because again, Tony's just always the character of the friend, the accessory friend, or the friend that does something, creates trouble where there isn't. But for those of you wondering, he's never played me or PJ or Hef or anything like that. He's always been an accessory to that. Like if I was to ever tell an embarrassing story about PJ or Hef or anything like that, if there was one, which none of them ever come to mind, I'd just get onto him and ask him if it's alright if I could do that. But a lot of these friends that Tony takes the place for is, I don't really talk to much anymore. There were just people I only talked to once or twice here and there, or they're friends of friends, so I wouldn't be particularly close to them, that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the questions for people who've been asking me, or I don't even know if it ruins some of the magic a small bit, but you just have to understand these are kind of things I have to do, because when you have new people coming into the channel then as well, I don't want to be inundating them with new names in every video then as well, which it just gets really confusing, and you know, there's already kind of about 5 or 6 characters you kind of have to keep up with already. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. But yeah, next question is Lamperian Productions said, what is the best and worst part of making videos? So yeah, the best part of making videos, that's hard. Like the best thing about making videos, I know it's not the exact question, but it's just reading the comments. The second I post a video, just all the comments of people coming in talking about all their like favorite bits, the bits that crack them up, stuff they've spotted in the background, all that kind of. That's my favorite part of a video. Like when I release a video, just know that I'm getting the biggest serotonin boost. You know, if you're looking at the video within the first 24 hours, I'm getting my biggest serotonin boost just going through the comments. I read every single comment. I know I don't reply to them all. It's not enough time in the day, but I read every single one of them. And that's the best bit of it, because it's all the hard work paying off there when I'm just cracking people up and they're like, you know, that was so funny and all that. It's the best. That's what I live for. But what is if I was to answer the question, the best and worst part of making a video, in terms if I was to look at it, like what is the best and worst parts of video production, drawing is probably my overall favorite bit, like drawing the background sets. I know it's like a smaller thing that I do, but the thing about when you're drawing background sets is you can actually have like, you can pour yourself a beer or a cider or your drink of choice, put on your favorite Spotify playlist, and you could just draw away, because drawing background sets takes a few hours. Well, it takes me many hours. It takes me about 2 hours per background set, give or take, depending on how much detail I'm willing to put into it. It takes about that. So you can just have a few drinks, throw on some tunes. Like, you don't need to think while you're doing it. Well, you do a small bit, but like, it's very relaxing. It's the easiest thing to put on podcast, whatever. You have a nice little time for yourself of an evening there, and you can draw late into the night. You don't have to speak or think or, you know, do anything that overexert yourself. You can't do that so much when you're like making the clips or the pictures putting together, because you're constantly focusing on what you're going to do for the next thing. And you know, you're making lots and lots of little decisions over and over throughout that, and you get a thing what's called decision fatigue, which basically just make up a lot of decisions and your brain feels melted at the end of the day. So you know, you can't really listen to tunes or relax too much while you're doing that, because you have to focus. But I feel like drawing is the one thing I can relax. But ultimately, it really depends on what time of the year you ask me. Some days I actually really enjoy writing. Sometimes I really lean into writing. I can have a lot of fun with it, where the flow is just working and I'm just cracking jokes after jokes and drawing great. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is working really well. Like, some days I'll have the writing so good, I'll be like, I know the video is going to be a fucking banger, but before I even put pen to paper, you know, that kind of way. I've just finished typing it. But other days it can be a struggle as well. But yeah, so I'll say that's my best. My least favorite bit is, well, I didn't say my least favorite. My least favorite bit of it would be, yeah, making the clips. It's just because the clips bit takes the weeks. That's the thing. It takes about 2 weeks, is making all the individual images. It doesn't take me any time really to make the characters. I just tell Rokata what I want and he gets to make the characters. It takes me about 2-3 days tops, depending on how many background sets I need to draw them up. But then it takes weeks to make all the clips, and then I have to compile it at the end or whatever. Boring stuff, lads. But yeah, I'd say the clips are like my least favorite bit. And for those who don't know, the clips, the frames is just the individual images I use like as a slideshow. Gal Stoney says, if you could create your own movie, what genre would you make and what subject matter would you cover? Movie. I don't know about movie. I've always wanted to make a series. I think I could make a really good series, kind of like Living with the Boys, just obviously not actually based in real life. Well, obviously based loosely in real life and my own experiences, but not actually reality, not real, so to speak. Like a well-written story. Maybe something like the In-Betweeners, kind of something of that ilk, where it's actual shenanigans with the boys. I think I could write something pretty good like that. But obviously, I don't know about making my own movie. If I could direct, yeah, write and direct. I'd do that. But when it comes to actual talents or outside of that, no, I'd be lost. But yeah, no, something like that. Serious. Well, to be honest, one thing I always wanted to do is, even back in college, I always wanted to do like comedy skit shows, like the Fast Show or Brass Eye, or you know, that kind of. You don't really see them much anymore, but it's just that kind of short and a half an hour of, like, you know, Monty Python and the Flying Circus, that kind of like little segments of just funny bits. Yeah, I'd love to do something like that. And like, if I was just actually do a movie, I don't know, it'd have to be something, get slapstick comedy, Naked Gun, Top Secret, Loaded Weapon. You know, these kind of comedies you just don't see anymore. They're back to back fucking hilariously shit dad jokes. And I just love those movies. They're kind of movies where you watch just to see the reaction to the people you're watching them with. I've always adored them. Like, they're the first type of movies that make me laugh out loud. I remember where, like, the first ones of them I seen was actually Austin Powers. I'd class Austin Powers as one of those movies as well. And there was a scene in one of the movies there where Dr. Evil was dressed in this plastic spacesuit, and he goes to sit down in a leather chair and he just slides off it. And I don't know why, but it actually made me laugh out loud. And I was watching it on my own, and I was like, oh my God, that's the first time I've laughed out loud on my own. You know, because laughing is a very social thing. You don't typically do a lot of it when you're on your own. So if you can do it on your own, it was big for me. And then I went back and watched a load of Naked Guns and stuff like that, and they just cracked me up. I love them. So I'll probably do something like that, because you don't see enough of them anymore. They've gone out of style. But I suppose with the death of Leslie Nielsen, we're just not going to get that same kind of quality anymore. But you know, Liam Neeson is actually meant to be starring in a new Naked Gun. They're going to like remake it or whatever like that. Now, I can't stand remakes, but I genuinely think Liam Neeson might be a great actual pick for this. Because the reason why Leslie Nielsen works so well, one of the many reasons, the main one being he's a talented bastard, but the other one was the reason it works so well is because he used to be a serious actor. He used to be like a film actor, like where he plays serious roles. So when he went into the comedy movie, he played it straight, and he played it so straight, it just enhanced the comedy, made him even funnier, because it was like his character just simply wasn't aware that this was a comedy film. It wasn't overacted, or it was played just very down the straight and narrow. And I think Liam Neeson could actually do that. I've seen him in it was Life's Too Short with Ricky Gervais. They do a great comedy skit together about Liam Neeson wanting to get into comedy, I think it was. And yeah, you should check that out. I'm sure it's on YouTube, but he's quite good in that. So I reckon I'd give him a chance, but I don't know. I'd rather they just did their own IP instead of kind of going with the Naked Gun, because they're not going. When you slap Naked Gun on it, you're going to automatically have people compare him to Les Nielsen, which he shouldn't have to do. Let him make his own thing. Don't, because it's impossible to meet those heights, you know. But anyway, yeah, we'll move on to the next question. Person by the name of We Didn't Start the Bazaar. And I do hope that's on your birth cert. Says, hey Ducky, as a somewhat socially awkward 20-year-old, how would you go about making new friends and nudging older friends into inviting you out? I don't know. I can't remember how I make friends. I made friends how everybody else of my age made friends back then. I don't know if it applies. Well, no, it definitely does apply. Lads are still heading out to the pub. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But how I made friends in my 20s was just I'd go out drinking with people, and then I'd bump into friends, and my friends would have friends, and then I would talk to them, and then they would become my friends also. And that's typically it. Like, you just kind of steal each other's friends, so to speak, or acquire them like Pokemon as you go on. But it happens rare. It's more rare and rare as time goes on. Like, realistically, most fellas will just make a load of friends, and by the time they're 20, they'll have like, I don't know, 15 to 20 friends, give or take. And then as they get closer to old age, they'll just steadily lose one out of the group every year due to like marriages and moving and all these other things. And by the time you're 30, you'll have a group of about 4 or 5 friends, and they'll be the ones then you'll hold on to until you're 89. Exactly that age. But yeah, as far as what was the second part of that? Nudging older friends into inviting you out. Yeah, you're a bloke. Just ask. That's all you got to do. I assume you're a bloke anyway. Just ask. Yeah. Like PJ, always heading out. I think he's out every weekend. Something like that. Does he invite me out? No. The only time PJ reaches out to me to go out is if it's like his birthday, or a few of our mutual friends, or like back in the country if they're out foreign or anything like that. Then he'd invite me. But if I want to go out drinking with him, I get onto him. Because like that's the thing, I'm socially awkward like yourself there, or at least I'm not so much socially awkward as the problem here is I'm not social. I could go months without interacting with people, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on that. You know, I don't have that desire in me to catch up and all that kind of stuff. But every now and again I'll be like, geez, I'd love a session with the lads. You know, I get the want of just doing a bit of banter with the boys. Then I'll get onto them, because they know them inviting me, they'll probably be met with a no, or I'll kick the can down the road, or I'll hum and haw. But like, that's what I do. I just get on to PJ and I'm like, here, are you heading out the weekend? And he'd be like, yeah, or no. And if he is, then I'd be like, right, grand, I'm going to head down to you there. I'm going to head out along. And he'd be like, grand. Like, unless you're the friend in the group that everybody hates, you know, you're going to be welcome. So just invite yourself. That's all you have to do. And last question here from Kang says, all right there, Ducky. Long time viewer, I got to ask you, are there any videos you look back on making and regret? Like you think you could have done more with the script, or there was a joke you didn't add or wish you had, or, you know, just a video, you know, on reflection dislike? No. Certainly, like the early days of my videos, I did a lot of rant videos. There was actually, like, I describe my old videos are rant videos with a sprinkling of comedy, where my videos nowadays are comedy videos with a sprinkling of rants. It's really, and it's very reflective of where I was at life, in life at the time. Like, back when I started my YouTube channel, I was struggling a little bit with depression and stuff like that. So I was very unhappy. I hated where I was in life. I hated where my life was going. I resented the world for it. And most of all, I hated myself. And I think a lot of that kind of anger came across in my earlier videos. And obviously, as YouTube actually started taking off and became a more realistic thing, and I eventually became full-time in YouTube, my outlook on life kind of lightened up. I lightened up as a person, and obviously doing comedy felt more natural for me. I didn't feel as angry, and it's just I could do a lot more with that. So like I would certainly say like the older videos I have on my channel are certainly a lot angrier, more bitter. Even the jokes are a lot more venomous. Would be the word. But I don't dislike them because they got me here. It was a creative outlet. It helped me feel like I was accomplishing something in my life at a time where nothing was optimistic. I think in my life I hadn't moved anywhere. My life hadn't improved in about 5 to 7 years. I was still working entry-level cashier jobs. I was still living in my same town I was born and raised in, more or less. And I just felt like I was just running in place, and I just hated it. And everybody, all my friends around me were like getting their like masters in teaching and doing well and getting great jobs, and I was just getting really frustrated by it. So yeah, that came across in the early videos, but I don't hate them because they got me to where I am now. And there's certainly like moments and stuff like that in videos that I'm like, with hindsight, I could have went, that would have been a perfect time for a joke. Or there's even sometimes in even modern videos where people would point out and say, you should have done this joke there, and I was like, that would have been good, and I just didn't think of it. But as far as regret, no. See, the thing with my type of videos is they're not really off the cuff. I'm sure I've said something in podcasts I might regret because these are not thought through at all. I just sit down and hit record and talk. But when I'm making videos, they take weeks. I have a lot of time to go back and change my mind about stuff and sleep on stuff and all that. So by the time I'm finished, at least in that isolated bubble of when I made the video, I was happy with it. I can look back on it now and say, the quality is not as good, or there wasn't as many jokes as I'd do nowadays. But, that's kind of a time capsule of the past now. So I'll leave it where it is. My only regret is like in the Pact video is not mentioning where Hef was, because we were living with Hef. Hef just didn't go out that night. So it's kind of like, it's technically a living with the boys video because it involves the boys, as the first one involved the boys as a group, but Hef wasn't there because it just wasn't out that night. But as far as regrets, no, I wouldn't say I have any real regrets in my videos at all. I experimented a lot more in my videos in the early days. I didn't do just rant videos or story videos, but again, all that stuff was necessary so I could kind of land on a genre that I actually enjoyed doing most, which was telling stories and doing comedy. So, but yeah, I wouldn't say I would regret any of it. I'm happy enough with the trail I blazed. And to be honest, I haven't even seen a lot of my old videos. I haven't looked at them in years. The last time I look at old videos is like when I do a reaction to them, like going back watching old videos for Patreon supporters and stuff. But the one or two that I've done. But maybe I should go back and like do my very first video, the one that's not even up on the channel. Maybe I should react to that for Patreon members, see if they have any interest in that. But lads, I'm going to end this podcast here. I've talked long enough there, and the missus is on her way home there now, and I just don't like talking when she's in the house because it just feels weird. Not that I've anything left to say anyway. I've hit the bottom of my talking points on my Word document here in front of me. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to my nonsense for the last hour or so. And I will catch you, lads and ladies, in the next one. Take care.